What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a raw price action and statistical analysis thread for AVCT stock. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could join our cab. Details in the description below. With that said, let's begin. Okay, so we are below the exponential moving average, the 7-day period, and the 10-day simple moving average here. This raw price action is suggesting continuation to the downside, but please don't be fooled. This downside move is actually possibly small. But it looks like we could potentially be looking at a move to the upside fairly soon. We are currently trading within the golden pocket, which is in between the 0.68 and the 0.382 Fibonacci ratio, right in between this area right here, which is a good thing. Usually psychology tends to take us into that zone for trading. A couple supports to look at down here. The 236, the not 236 right down here, 113 is confluent with our descending channel support right down here. Now, another relevant support that we can be looking at is the not 382 at 119. This has some confluence with this candle right here. And the low of this candle, you can actually see in the metrics right above here, the low of this candle is 121, and the 382 is suggesting $1.19. So this can very likely be an area of support along with the not 236. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and talk about, let's see. Okay, a few things right here that are very bullish for AVCT, but know that for the short term, I do expect a downside before we do make a move to the upside. So I found us descending. I'm sorry, this is called a falling wedge, and it's not a descending triangle because it is after a downtrend. A couple things to look at right here is that we are facing some resistance. You can see the candle actually touched right at the 7-day exponential moving average right here, which is also confluent with our triangle resistance right on top. And the 10-day simple moving average is also guiding us towards the downside. Now, zooming out just a little bit, you can actually see just how much influence both of those moving averages have in the price action. So they're over here, and you can see that we're touching, testing that resistance, testing the resistance, testing it. So this is another indication that we are likely to face some immediate short-term downside. The downside could be session long. It doesn't actually have to resolve quickly. It all has to do with the broader markets and also with the overall sentiment within the trade. So if we're looking at a potential target from this triangle, it does have a price objective for us to look at. We actually can take a trend line from the highest point, from the hypotenuse to the lowest point of the triangle down here, and applying it to the point of breakout. So if I were to just put a guess real quick, just say that we would break out tomorrow at mid-session to late session, right? So if we break out here, the price objective would land at a very interesting point here. It actually lands right at the 3.618, which is at about $1.49, and this has direct confluence with that, which is very curious. We can face some resistance. Well, not only in trying to break out from this triangle, but right at the, I think this is let me just make sure that it is a 30-day. Yeah. So this is the 30-day exponential moving average, and it just so happens to be directly in confluence with the 1.618 Fibonacci ratio right over here. So I mean, this is likely going to be the area where we can. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. We can come down, test the triangle support, and even the inverse 1.618, at $1.21. This could also be an indication to tell us that there is a potential that it can be within this area here, that in time, right, that we can touch that support. So we make a downside move over here. We can catch some type of entry in this area right here, make a break to the upside, and literally go all the way as far. I mean, there's two zones, right? We have the not 618, which is at, let's see, $1.31, or the one spot 618 at $1.37. Both of these areas can be a form of resistance before we can come back and test our newly converted resistance into support from the wedge, from the falling wedge, right? We can do this and then continue on to the upside and potentially make the target of 149 at the 3 spot 618 realize. In doing that, there is a potential that we can wick to the 4236, and then coming back to find support at the SMA 50. This would be the 50-day simple moving average, which could do something like this. I mean, please know that this is an implied direction. It would not, it's not going to follow this perfectly. So yeah, if we can do a wick to the 3618 or to even to the 4236, and coming back to use the 2 fib or the 1 spot 618 as a form of support before a continuation to the upside, you guys. So this is looking pretty good for AVCT, but I do, like I said, I am expecting some type of drop here for now, and this is it's not too bad. We're looking at a potential 3 to 4% decline first before we can continue on to the upside, and it would also make sense since we're within the 70 to 75% completion of the falling wedge of the triangle. So as we get closer to the apex, breakout becomes more and more likely. So this is something that we should keep in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the statistical side of the analysis thread here. So I have a couple indicators here for the new viewers to be able to review with me. We are looking at volatility, represented by this indicator BBWP. Volatility is direction neutral, so only because we've reached the very top and start contracting to the downside does not necessarily mean that price action would go to the downside as well. Inversely, just because we've reached extreme lows like contractive levels down here and start moving up to the upside does not mean that price action will do as such. So in order for us to gain a bias in direction, we pair this with this indicator here, or a momentum indicator like it. So this is similar to an RSI. This is stochastic momentum. We can use a momentum oscillator just like this to gain a bias in direction. So let's go ahead and read the statistical metrics based on reaching extreme expansive levels. So we are pretty much capped at 100% expansion right here. So this expansion level has been going. These bars right here represent 2 days each, since we're in the 2-day chart right here. So this is 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. So you can see that we've actually now made the moving average reach that fully expansive level. This is indicating a high probability of huge volume coming in, or volatility coming in for AVCT in the near term. Since it is a 2-day chart, we can look at these contractive moves to the downside here within the next trading session to a week, right? So we do have to practice some patience in this, but this is looking pretty okay. Another thing to note is that we are on the stochastics here on this indicator. It looks like we are at a low of about 3.6%. If we draw a trend line here, it looks like we have reversed from areas like this in the past. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, we've gone a little bit past it before, but for example here, you can see that we've reached these levels here and started making a an enormous move to the upside. In this particular iteration, we made a 265% move to the upside. Please know that these iterations are statistically measured. They are not certainties. They are they vary greatly. So that was a 200% move. You have a 100 over here. You have a 12 over here. I mean, we have some small ones too, you guys. 2.68%. Yeah, you can just see. So I am gaining an averaged. I'm getting an averaged metric so that we can be able to go over some desired targets using historical volatility or statistical volatility against or versus a stochastic's momentum signature. So let's look at the metrics here. So we're looking at a total of 12 iterations over the span of the entirety of the public trading for AVCT stock. Out of those iterations, 12 are correct. We have 0 incorrect. So that gives us an upside accuracy of 100%. The averaged upside thrust to the upside is 58.53% over the span of about 32.29 days. I don't usually get a 100% read on moves like this, on measuring volatility versus momentum. This can likely be another shot to the upside. I see it because we're at extreme oversold right here, but only because we're at extreme oversold does not mean that we can't continue to the downside and continue overselling within the asset. So this is just an average for us to be able to review. RSI, all these indicators are just averaged, and they're also delayed too. So important to keep that in mind. But I also gained the average of the stochastic's momentum guessing the direction, right? So right now it's telling us that we can likely face some downside first before we can make the upside, which is very confluent with what we're talking about here, with making a downside move to testing, to test the wedge bottom before a continuation to the upside. So this is in accordance with the smaller time frames as well. So I can give it some weight. First of all, we are in a 2-day time frame here, so you larger time frames do carry more weight. So the stochastic momentum has an average upside accuracy of 83.33%. So it's not perfect, this indicator here, but this would usually give us the bias and direction. So we do have an 83.33% chance that this will guess the direction correctly. So know that is a probability. So now let's take our averaged upside thrust of 58.53% and apply it to the current position where we are now, and see what that gets us. So we are looking at. Let me get rid of the indicator so we can look at this clearly. This is the 58.50. Well, it's okay. I can't really reach the 53% unless I zoom in and get it tight. But besides, these are just averaged metrics. They're not perfect. They are not, it's just for us to review. So you're looking at a target of $2.02 from where we currently are. So that's, let's see, $1.28 where we are right now. Let's see what that gives us. That is approximately, we're measuring okay. 58% to the upside puts us at the golden zone as well. This is the golden pocket in between the 0.68 and the 0.382. It's suggesting a stop almost in direct confluence with the 5 fib, with the 0.5 fib. Also, let's go ahead and draw a trend line at the suggested top here and just take a look at what happens. So you can see this 2-day candle used this line as support. You can also see this two-day candle used it as incredible support. This one also, it just passed it a little bit, but it continued onto the upside, realizing the support as well. I don't think, we've never actually touched this low. So all this price action going to these levels here is actually price discovery. So it's very difficult sometimes for us to be able to gauge a target to the downside. But AVCT is not suggesting a downside target. It is suggesting upside for now, you guys. Excuse me. Okay, so now that we have this in it, let's see. Now that we have this covered, let's go ahead and look at our RSI. So this is the 12-hour RSI that we're looking at here, you guys. I see two phantom drives of bullish divergence, and these could potentially start realizing soonish. So we could do something like this. We could do a move similar to this right here, where it comes down to this area, since the price action is suggesting immediate short-term downside. We could come down here and still be on a bullish divergence here, on a phantom drive. So this is very good for AVCT stock. Let me go ahead and get rid of this trend line, and let's now look at a few time frames for the RSI, so we can gain a bias and direction for the next session. Let's see here. So we're going to start with the 30-minute. We're going to do the immediate short-term time frame here. New viewers, please listen up. Apologies to my existing viewers. We do have to explain this. This is a typical RSI setup. We have the RSI split into two sections. This is the bullish control zone, and this is the bearish control zone. Now, both zones are split in half as well. The upper half of the zone here in the bearish side, this is the bear weakness percentile, and this is bear strength percentile. Now, inversely, this is bull weakness, and this is bull strength. Anything above 70 is overbought. Anything below 30% is oversold, just like any other RSI. All right, so now if you hear me say things like that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so 30-minute RSI is looking a little bearish, which is in accordance to what we're talking about with immediate short-term downside. This has already made a cross below the moving average and suggesting downside from within the bear strength percentile. Let's look at the 15-minute to see if we have any say within that. Same situation here, you guys, making a bearish cross below the moving average and primed for entry into the bearish, into the bear strength percentile. Let's go up and look at the two, this is the bi-hourly RSI. Let's see. So we have entered the bear strength percentile. Now the pivot is starting to make an upside, but the hint can actually come from the moving average right up here. First of all, we're trading below the moving average, which is bearish, and we're within bear strength percentile, which is also bearish. So the upside on this, we have to play some discretion with this, you guys. Sometimes when we have a neutral direction like this, we shouldn't trade those signals whatsoever. Let's look at the hourly and see if it's the same situation, which is probably okay. So here, this is what I was talking about. We can actually use the, I'm sorry, I actually didn't mention that. Sorry, guys, I stuttered there because I thought I said it. But yeah, this is using the moving average as a form of resistance and a continuation to the downside. Now, this is right in the middle of the bear strength percentile. So we can give it some weight, and also is the hourly. So we're looking at immediate short-term downside according to the short-term timeframes of the RSI. Now let's go ahead and move on to the 6-hour and see what it's suggesting. Okay, so slight pivot to the downside. We have broken entry into bear strength. We are also below the moving average. However, the pivot is not so convincing. It still is to the downside, so we can give it some weight. This could potentially be, because I said to you guys that the downturn we're looking at to test the wedge bottom on this chart is not such a big decline. We're looking at a 4% decline. So this is likely why we're getting the signals of the RSI not so pivoted to the downside. Now let's look at the daily chart, since we already looked at the 12. The daily chart the daily RSI is also suggesting a very weak downside. Now, this can be corrected since we are in the shallow areas of the bear strength percentile, so we're likely to be gravitated back into the bear weakness percentile. Let's look at the bi-daily just to see if there's anything else. Same thing here, you guys. It's still a little neutral in direction. 3-day is still neutral in direction too, and 5-day is also neutral in direction. So the indecision is likely to what's coming up. We have a few catalysts coming up, like the Fed, the rate talk on Wednesday, and also jobs on Friday. And I think we have some other stuff coming up next week. Apologies if you can hear my toddler right outside. He's actually playing with mom. I am in the studio and the door is locked, so he doesn't come in here and blow the roof off of our heads here, huh? Right? Anyway, you guys. So one more thing. So these are the this is an indicator that is named after me, ARCa. So I have 8 of them actually that are named after me. This is in partnership with Crypstex Trading. They have come up with some indicators that match some of my trading style. I don't always do scalping, but when I do, I definitely use these for day trades and scalps. So another thing that we can notice here is that this gave us a short signal on the 27th, and it's still honoring that downside. So this is also an indication that we're moving to the downside. It hasn't given us the long. So, you know, for example, here we got a long and then it went up. We got a short and it came all the way down. We got a long position here, went all the way up there. Short position down here. So it's a pretty good indicator for us to validate what we're looking at within the other technical and statistical metrics that we're looking at, you guys. So first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't actually tell you to buy or sell an asset, right? Take whatever I do say and whatever I do show in these threads of analysis as a form of entertainment. Do your own DD and we'll be okay, you guys. But we can further discuss this in the Discord. Make sure to join ARCab and Twitter. We can discuss it here too, you guys. But I think that's where I'm going to leave this video for now, you guys. I do not suggest entry just yet unless we do potentially touch this 1.618 area. So between 123 and 121. Actually, I'm going to make a correction. I'm going to do between 118 and 123 could be a good averaging in area for a long position, and potentially to start taking profits. Like for example, this we can just measure real quick before we finish the video. So say your entry was an average of about here. We can do a 10% exit at the SMA 50 and the 1.618. We can also do a 20% exit at the 3.618 that we're talking about, which is the objective price for the falling wedge. And now the SMA 200 could be another take profit zone, but you know, we're looking at a 58% move here too, you guys. We can do runners all the way up to 202 or $2. But with that said, you guys, I'm going to leave the video here. Make sure to visit me on Twitter. The links are going to be all below in the description. Join the Discord, and I will catch you at the bell tomorrow. Adios.